The opened application is what is SAP GUI, and this is ECC 6.0 with enhancement package 6. First thing to note, as we discussed before, the enterprise is identified by client. This number, this is what is the enterprise ID, and then comes the user. I try to log into PLM01, give the password, and you can specify the language of communication, and if you don't specify it, usually it takes the user predefined. In my case it is English. So when I log in, it takes me to the user interface for this user, PLM user. See here, by default, what menus, whatever the role assigned to him, as per the role assigned to him, these would be. And if you click on the SAP menu, you will see all the menus that are possible in SAP. If you, for example, if you open this logistics, again in that there are many more: quality, production, plant maintenance, project system, many more. But he may not have rights to execute them. Maybe if in case he tries to access something which he is not having rights to, it would give him a message that you do not have rights to execute this. Earlier we discussed about 5 of the different primary object types: the material master, bill of material, document, work center, and routing. Let's see how to create them one by one. I'll start with the material master creation. The transaction for material master creation is MM01. Later we will see the creation of the same material master in Web UI or NetWeaver Business Client. Now the material, first material what I'm trying to create, either system can declare a number which we call it as internal number, or I can specify a number which we call it as external number. So I would like to take the number declared from the system, so I will not fill anything. And industry sector, depending on what your company is into, you can choose it. Then comes material type. I will take the finished product. You can see there are many different types of material types that is possible. So I will take finished product, and you can have a change number if you are creating it against any change, or if you are copying from any other material and trying to make little changes after copying, you can give that reference material number here. So in our case, we are creating without copying from anything. And the next question what it asks you is, what are the different views that you want to create? As we discussed before, material master is very important object which connects to many different departments. For example, let's say basic data 1 and 2, where we define the basic information about the material, and probably you may have some sales related data which you can feed in here, and purchasing data, material requirement planning data, and it can be even foreign trade and export related data, and work scheduling data, and even plant related or warehouse related, quality related, accounting. So there are many other sections. When R&D teams creates a material master, they would usually take basic data 1 and 2. So I select it, and here let's say I'm trying to create the motor parts, and also we'll try to create a bill of material for the motor later. So let me start with creation of the first material. Let's say I want to start with the stator of the motor. So I put in the description, then base unit of measure. For this I go to possible entries. See, possible entries, you can click on the button next to the field, or you can press F4, that is also possible. So then I search for the unit of measure because it's a big list. So I click on find again. So it goes on searching where PC is. So I choose this, which stands for pieces. So I take that. And apart from this, there are many other fields you can see. If you know what these stand for, you can fill in. For example, let's say if it has any material, old material number, you can put in here. what material group it belongs to, which office this particular or which laboratory this material belongs to, what is the gross weight, net weight, volume, basic size. All these details you can feed in, and if you hit enter or if you click on this basic data 2, it jumps to the next one. So I hit enter. Now you can see now we are in basic data 2, and here you can define other details again. If there is any inspection memo to be number to be mentioned here, you can. And if there is any basic material, in the sense this is made of what, maybe steel, brass, bronze, titanium, whatever you can choose. Going forward, you can see even if it has got any design drawing to define, so you can mention the details of the design drawing which may be sitting in a document info record that you can mention here. So this is all about the material master creation. Now I click on save to save the material master. Now you can see it has declared a number for the stator as 2097. Now I'm trying to create another material, same details, basic data 1 and 2, and this time I'm creating, let's say, rotor, and same base unit of measure. See here you can observe this symbol indicates it is a mandatory entry. So if you hit space bar, it shows the previously fed value. So I'm choosing the piece and hit enter, and here I don't want to feed anything, just again hit enter. It will ask you, do you want to save the material, because the chosen two weaves are filled in, say yes. So then it created the next material number, that is 2098, and then I'm trying to create one more material, same basic data 1 and 2. Yeah, now I want to create a bearing, so let's say bearing, and same unit of measure. Usually the bearing is a bought out item. You can even feed in its manufacturer part number, that is also possible. So it has saved that material by number 2099. So last one, the header material, which is nothing but the motor itself, I'm trying to create. Let's say motor, base unit of measure is same, hit enter, save it. So the number for the motor is 2100. Now we have needed 4 parts: the main product itself, which is motor, and stator, rotor, and bearing. So now let's create bill of material for the motor, which includes these 3 parts. So now how do we go to the transaction to create the bill of materials? Come back and go to CS01. See, please note all these transactions are available even by menu also. For example, let's say I want to go in for the bill of material. You can see there is a menu available for creating the bill of material. So under SAP menu, logistics, production, master data, bill of material. So under this create, change, display, 3 options are there. So I'm trying to create. So it is all the same whether you go with the transaction code or you go with the menu, it is the same. So I'm taking the header material, and please note, when you don't give the plant information here, that means you're trying to create a group BOM. That means it is not specific to any plant. Probably it is undergoing a development, and once development is done, release, then probably management would decide which plant is going to manufacture or where we are going to roll out. So as of now, we are not feeding any plant information. And another thing earlier we had discussed by using slides, that is engineering BOM and even the production BOM and all that. So this is the one. You are going to choose the BOM usage. Now since it is R&D, so I'm taking engineering, hit enter. It gives you a message. It is trying to create a group BOM. It's fine, accept it. Any message in a yellow color triangle symbol, it is just information to you. So I accept it. The first material was 2097, quantity is 1 piece, hit enter. So it is a stator. Then 2098, quantity is again one piece, it's a rotor. Then 2099, two piece bearing. So you can see this is how you create a bill of material. And also, if this, I'm taking very few parts here. When you say motor, there would be many more. Just to show you how the bill of material is created in SAP, I'm taking a small example. And if you want to add any design information which is sitting in the documents, you can feed in that detail here, which may be helpful for the assembly purpose. That is also possible. Now I save it. So this is how you create the bill of material. See, the same thing what we did till now, that is creation of materials and bill of material, you can do it with even the web UI interface also. This is how the web UI interface would look like. And here on the left side you can see you can create materials, material BOM, documents, change related objects are there, and many more. Now here, if I go to, let's say, create material, it opens a window where we can create the material, and you can see it is the same. What you saw there in a regular GUI, a thick client, and here we are in a thin client, it is all the same. Let's say I will take mechanical, and I will take the material type as finished product, and let's say I continue. You can see here it is, everything is same. Here you are going to feed in the material description, unit of measure, which material group, external material group, there are all these parameters, whatever you saw are all here. Only one small difference that you would see is access control feature called access control context, ACC in short we call it. So this is one extra thing, but otherwise rest all the things are same. And also they have added one more thing here, that is process route. If you want this material to go through certain set of people to get the approval, you can define the process route or initiate the process route. So that is one extra thing that you can see here. Otherwise rest of the things are all same. And if I come back to the material BOMs, so here material BOMs, if I go to create material BOM, you can see the UI, it is the same. You are going to define the material number. For example, in our case it was 2100. So it shows as you are typing, it just picks up what all start with that number, it shows. So I'm going to pick up that, and which plant you can define, and what is the BOM usage you are creating it for. Already we have created, and if you try to create again, it would add it as an alternative BOM. I hit enter. Here you can see you get similar form here where you can put in the details of the components. For example, let's say 2097, which is stator, and quantity maybe one piece. It will pick up its description. The way you do it here and there are same. Only thing is the user interface is different. It's one database where all the data would go inside. It is just the difference is the user interface. Okay, now I close this without saving. Now let's look at the document creation. The document creation transaction code is CV01N, and here also you can have internal number or external number. See, for each purpose you can have different types. Maybe for procurement you may have a different document types. Maybe for design you may have different document types. So I will take design, for example, this one DRM. Or you can, if you are aware of this document type name, you can just type, it shows the possible entries falling into that category. And document part and version, if you don't feed in any value, it takes 000 for the part and 00 for the version. Hit enter. So as we discussed before, document, the very basic purpose of this document info record, in short usually we call it as document, but it is actually document info record. The very basic purpose of document is to store the files or the originals what this enterprise or the business departments would be creating or the business users would be creating. Let's say I want to put in the motor specs, so I will call this as description as motor specs, and you can see the status of this is in a work request state. So I go to open, and what state it is in, it is asking. I'll say work request creation stage it is in, say OK. And what file you want to put in, let's say I want to put in that specs design data which is there sitting in that, and you just right click and say check in. If it has to go to a secure location, you can say check in, and there are many different locations or vaults where you can put in the file. So I will choose this, so it is checked in. So this is how you create the document, and you can see it is the same here also. In document section, you go to create document. Here you can see the document number, document type. Let's say I put in DRM and hit enter. So the field what you see is all the same. Description, status, everything, whatever we had fields, all of them are here. One extra thing, usually what you see in most of the objects is this process route and ACC. For this, ACC is not enabled, but once ACC is enabled, access control context, you can see one more field here, access control context. And this is how you create the document. So we will not again create the same document here. I'm just trying to show you one important thing that you have to remember, that is it is just the UI which is different. Rest all the things are all same. It's the same object coming from the same origin. So now let me close this and I come back to the GUI and I save it. You can see it has declared a internal number because we didn't give any number. System has declared an internal number. So I come back. These are the three object types meant for defining the product definition, and of course there are many more, but we are taking very primary object types using which we can define the product. Now let us see the process side. There is one important object that we had discussed called work center. So what is work center? Work center is a location where some production activity may take place, or a machine where some operations for manufacturing these products may happen, or any of these which you want to map on SAP are called work centers. Now what is the transaction code for creating the work center? It is CR01. Hit enter. So first it is asking in which plant you want to create the work center. I'll take 1000 as the plant, and the work center, let's say this company where we are using SAP has bought a new machine for, let's say, motor winding. I will call this as, let's say, winding_01. It's a machine that they have bought, and what category it is, there are many different categories of work center, but since it is a machine, I'll take machine category. Hit enter, and let's say this is winding machine. Since you took work center category related to this, there are some fields which are already filled up. And then another important thing here, this standard value key. See, depending on what is the kind of machine, if it has setup time, machine time, labor time, you can choose this. If it is something else where, let's say, there is only machining time or only setup and machining time, so depending on that you can choose what is the standard value key. If you are from logistics, you would know which one to choose. And also note, you can define certain default values for the work center, and also for capacity planning you can define capacity related details, and also for scheduling you can define the details here in this tab, and also the costing. So now I save this work center. Now let's look at creation of the routing as we discussed before. So what is routing? Routing is sequence of operations that will have to be taken through for manufacturing that particular product. So when we say product, how do you identify a product? Again with material master number. So I go to CA01, which is to create a routing, and which is the material master you want to manufacture. See, one thing you have to remember, since it is a manufacturing process, it cannot be without the plant information. If I leave this blank and try to create, it will not accept. So I have another material master which is maintained in plant number 1000. So I choose that A3000, then I hit enter. Here we define at work center, let's say 1111, we do the parts cleaning, and similarly at the same work center again we do, let's say, copper winding. Okay, and here the moment you hit enter, it's going to ask you what are the standard values. See, it would take, the first operation would take 10 minutes, and that is the setup time, and machine time it would take, let's say, 20 minutes, and it would take labor time of, let's say, 10 minutes. And once you hit enter, say OK, and now it is asking for the next operation, that is 20. Let's say this winding process would take, let's say, 20 minutes as the setup time, and maybe it will take about 60 minutes for the machining or the machine time, and then it takes labor time of, let's say, 40 minutes totally. So this way you can define the operations, the sequence of operations, what it would go through. And important thing is, here you have to define on which work center this is going to go through, that you will be defining. And here you can see the setup time, machine time, and even the labor time would be there. Save it. So this is how you create all the objects, that is material master, bill of material, and document info record, then the work center and the routing. And thanks for your time.